G&T show is intended for mature audiences. Parental discussion is advice. Live long and prosper.
Friends with benefits.
Speaking of having a good time, Terry.
Mm-hmm.
Dayton broke the G&T show. This is now the David Mack
Appreciation Hour.
What is it about this guy that people love him so much? With his purple velvet cape and his crown. I thought it was a little much when he had us carry him in the studio on a throne. I am awesome! Look what I have done! Look what I have brought upon the world!
There is an urge to go nya.
I heard rumors that you might be working on something else, but we won't pry much. I'm gonna say
I'm gonna pry a little.
Dare you! How dare you ask me to change it? Do you not understand the majesty of my genius? And the guy sitting next to me looked at me like he was, like I'd cramped in his hat.
Yeah, it's the professionalism that sells the show. That's right.
Welcome to a G&T Show Supplemental Log. This week we have a very special guest. But first, joining me in the call is Terralyn.
Hello, everyone.
Nick is called away on a work emergency, so we wish him all the best with that. Yep. He regrets that he cannot be here. But in the meantime, we have our very special guest, Al Gecko Rivera. Hello.
Hello there.
Welcome
Good to be
back.
back. Thank you. It's good to be back to G&T. I'm very sad that Nick is not here.
Yeah, we are too.
Yeah, I thought he'd introduce me and describe what I'm wearing today.
Yes, he's very good at that.
He really is very good at that. And unfortunately, about 25 minutes ago, he texted us from work, and he got called in, unfortunately, on an unfortunate emergency at the office. So, yeah.
Well, Nick, today for you, I am wearing my my Wrath of Khan chesty shirt here with the little broken Starfleet emblem, big gold bling there.
That's really awesome.
The Khan.
I know. I'm wearing my Vulcan Ale T-shirt today.
Excellent.
From the beer people that were across the way from us at the convention. Mike, what about you?
Well, since we're audio, I'll say that I'm wearing, my honor guard uniform.
There you go.
There you go.
Well done.
Nice. Well, welcome back, Al. It's been a long time. Sorry it's been that long, but I was slow playing Star Trek Online after Delta Rising, and
there's no obligation to finish early. Play at your own pace.
And I did.
It's not a race.
Well,
it was a good story.
I play slower than most, so. And I've already played it like 10 times before everyone else saw it.
Yeah, I bet. I was going to say, I bet you guys are kind of, by the time something gets pushed, are you all pretty tired of it?
No, honestly not, because there are so many things going on at any given time. It's often really hard for me to watch every piece of content at every stage of development, or any system or anything for that matter. So, we have leads and we have smart people, and to some degree you have to, as a manager, the hardest thing is knowing when to micromanage and when to just let people just do what they're supposed to be doing, right? And let people do it and make their own decisions. And so and sometimes you swing it too far one way or the other and either make an ass of yourself or something goes out terrible. It's lots of times I don't see the final product until it is live.
Interesting.
I'm most interested from the very beginning, at least when it comes to content, which is usually what we talk about here at G&T. From the very beginning about kind of outlining what I want the story to be, the main framework, the plot, and then working with the individual designers and improving their pitch. And then somewhere in the middle, maybe if I'm lucky, I get to see where it's at towards the very end. Make sure. So I want to see it from the beginning, and I want to make sure they got it in the end. And then we have content lead Charles Gray, who kind of manages it from on a day-to-day basis. But sometimes I won't see the final product until it's live, and so. I usually don't see the final product with voice for sure, because voice is at that point has very little to do with me. We've already approved the script and
right. It's like one of the final stages.
Yeah, it's the last minute thing that goes in is the voice, and so seeing the whole thing completely voiced is 90% of the time. At that point, I only see that live, so I get to enjoy that.
Enjoy that as a complete.
Yeah. A lot of times I wish I could just extricate myself more, because I do want to just enjoy it as a final product live. And
it's like, I'm tired of the sausage baking. I just want to play.
Yes, definitely. Well put.
Right on. Since you had mentioned voice, I want to congratulate you for all of the wonderful voice actors that you've been able to obtain.
Thank you.
You guys busted your butts. We know
that was a lot of work getting those guys on board. Some of them much easier than others. Some of them tragically difficult. Any time lawyers get involved, it just brings things to such a screeching halt. And I'm like, why do you have this lawyer arguing about these little details? Because every time the lawyer does, that's costing them like $500, $1,000. You're making like so little money now, right? It goes back and forth. It's like wow, these lawyers just must be justifying themselves. And then it costs us money too, because we have to send to our lawyer. So every time there's a little adjustment, that's another $500 or $1,000 just to make the adjustment. Mm-hmm. And so that's it's like, wow, it says, okay, fine, we won't have Gabe Horn with your character on screen, I promise. Okay. I'm not kidding. That is so many things in some of the on a particular contract, right? So it's weird. So sometimes they're just like, yeah, fine, that's fine, I'll just sign the contract. And sometimes they get lawyers involved, and it gets really hard. I mean, managers usually don't fuss too much. It's when they go to, managers fight over money, right? The lawyers fight over the contract, and
yep.
So that's
frustrating.
So, that gets frustrating. And
you guys really knocked it out of the park. I mean, what did we figure out? 6 people you got?
I think it's 5 from Voyager.
5?
Right.
That's great.
And then and then on the anniversary, of course, Kim Rhodes. So that would be the 6th, although not part of Delta Rising technically.
I have to admit, I was hoping that you would get her, but I was not expecting it.
And I was a shot in the dark. I was like, let's just give her a call, right? And and she's like, yeah, sure. And apparently she just really, really loved playing that character. So it was a treat for her.
Well, as I can wholeheartedly, as a fan and as a as a player, all I can say is that she really was wonderful, and you can tell she loved her character because she was so into it. She was so into it. I mean, I believed everything she said, hook, line, and sinker. As I was listening to it, I was like, "This is awesome!"
I was not expecting her at all to be that good. I thought we'd get a wooden performance, not because of her skills as an actress, but because she'd only played that character once 20 years ago, right? And all the other actors, they played their characters for 7 years or something, right? And so I figured, well, this probably was a guest role part. She does a lot of other things. Maybe she doesn't even remember the character, and she doesn't. And it'll take her a while of coaxing to get her back in. But no, she apparently just really left an impression on her. This character is what she said, and she just immediately from the first take she was perfect.
She had it. Oh my gosh,
it was awesome. Did you hear the interview with her?
No, I didn't.
I guess on StarTrekOnline.com, You'll have to, the news articles.
Yeah. Okay. I think I have it actually up on my, I didn't hear the interview.
Yeah.
Why did I not hear the interview?
You know what bugs me? I see this on some websites, and our website does this sometimes. There's a little news blurb about Kim Rhodes and a picture of her old Jetlaya versus our Jetlaya model.
Right.
And then at the bottom it says, read the interview here. Listen to the interview with Al Rivera here, and the text is not like
there's no flash.
It's not colored hyperlink, right? It just says here. So you have to roll your mouse over the word here, and then you can click on it, and then you can hear the audio interview.
Yeah.
So I wish it was like a great big bold blue hyperlink, but it's not. But yeah, then there's an interview there, and when you listen to her, then you can hear her exuberance about how much she enjoyed playing this character, and it's very genuine. And yeah, we talked about her roles in Supernatural and going to conventions and
well, I will definitely give that a listen, and we'll make sure that we include the link to the interview in our show notes. That would be great. The actual link. You got that, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. That would be awesome.
But I have to say that in this most recent anniversary episode, Dust to Dust, her and Garrett Wang,
Wong.
Excuse me.
It took me a while to remember that too, but he'll correct you. So it's Wong.
But just at the end of it, after going through the mission and having both characters there, I was blown away. I was teary-eyed. It really struck a nerve. So fantastic job.
Very happy to hear that.
And I will have to concur, because I found like that emotional. I found the emotional connection as well. I even called Mike after I played Dust to Dust, and I said, "Okay, I get it now. I get what you were saying." And I got all verklempt because I was so sad and so happy at the same time, because it really is. I mean, what happens to the original the other Kim character it's quite traumatic.
It's very tragic, right? It's like how much does that suck? Not only are you dead and now you're this alien and you're losing your identity, right? And you can't go home, but someone else is living your life.
Right. Well, it was really just very well written, very well performed, and I can't wait to play it again, because I know that I get. Here's the other thing too. Dust to Dust is the 5th anniversary episode that you have put forward, and this year you've instead of like I don't want to say you're time gating it, so you now play the episode once every other week as different rewards unlock.
Yeah, once a week there's a different reward that comes out with the episode. So, but they don't rotate. So we just add another choice.
You just add.
Okay.
So it would be possible to, right. So if somebody didn't even get an opportunity to play until the 4th week, they could play it 4 times in a row.
Yes, and then choose each one of the rewards one each time. So yes.
Excellent.
So you don't. Yeah, it's not like you only have the 1 week window. We could do that, but that would be evil.
That's not so bad. I was, how I am about time gating. I get a little sensitive about that. But this one isn't so bad because I have so many alts anyway. I have made the conscious decision to.
She'd have to live in game.
I would have to live in game if I wanted to do this on all of my characters, and I'm just not. So I have focused.
As would I.
I have focused on doing the main stuff on my main, but I'm doing the Omega Particle game. That's fun.
Yeah.
I do that one. I'm doing that one multiple times, because what I'm doing is I'm funneling the party horn to my alts.
Oh.
So I'll get the party horn every time my main plays it. She gets the commendations for the ship, and then she puts the party horn in the account bank, and then I sign on with another character, and they just pick it up. And it's far easier for my brain to handle than trying to do this with, no lie, 17 alts. So
yeah. 17 alts is a lot of alts.
I know.
I basically have a Fed engineer and a Romulan science and a Klingon tactical. So
Well, you have to remember.
Seems most appropriate, and I barely get to play the other two alts.
Right. I think I still have 15 slots. I'm horrible. And the reason why...
I've got about 15, 16 alts as well, and I play 3 primarily and 1 constantly. So
yeah. And the reason why, Al, is because, again, STO was my first MMO.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I just knew that slots were cheap when the game started. So I think I bought 35.
Okay.
So yeah, and I had no idea. I didn't realize the amount of work that an MMO could be if you had so many alts. So
we don't have to keep playing.
No. well, each one has that little emotional connection.
Each one is special. Yes, each one has, they're all got their own story to them, and they're all, doing it for whatever specific cause, and I mean.
Oh my God! You should see. Fun. I already have I have 2 Romulans, three, right? I have a Riemann and 2 Romulans now.
So dealing with alts is always a big challenge for us because there are people who have lots of alts and people who have few and some that have none, and then there's often this request to why I don't want to have to play this thing with all my alts. Why can't I just have it if I do it once for free? It says, well, then why have alts if you and why should just then you just play one character and you can have as many of them all level up and get everything for free. I mean, where is the line and we draw that? I mean, we have a system of alting because we want you to play again, because we want you to have a replayability factor. And I keep thinking about this. So in City of Heroes, when I was working in City of Heroes, that game was a game that begged for alting because the character creation process, not only was the superhero costume editor so robust that you could make anything, it was just amazing what you could make in there, but what you would choose for your powers would really make your character play very, very differently from one character to the next. So it was extremely different. So lots of times people made lots of alts and just get to like level 14 where you'd get super flight and then you'd quit and then you'd make another one because it's pretty quick to get there. But people still made lots and lots of alts because the experience was so different every time. The experience isn't quite as different with Star Trek. The alting per se is on which ship that you choose in Star Trek Online more so than the character that you choose. And so City of Heroes did not have nearly as huge and robust an endgame as Star Trek Online does, so I think that people have made alts and probably made those alts when we didn't have a big endgame, and now we have a big endgame, and now everyone wants to have all those endgames on all those characters, and it's should we? I don't know. That's not what the plan was, and maybe we.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I will tell you the benefit for me right now of having so many alts that I stopped playing when they hit level 50, right? Mm-hmm. And the advantage is, and I kid you not, the advantage is I have so much content that allows for me to have a nice, fun leveling experience between 50 and 60 than I did with my main. Yeah. I have so many of my alt characters now that I'm now getting back into because they're just starting the Cardassian episodes.
Yeah.
That's, to me, is freaking brilliant. So I'm having the time of my life. I love it.
This is why we deleted 15 Romulan or 10 Romulan episodes or however many we deleted, right? Because we have so much content in the game now. It's really hard to play all the content in the game. It just is. And
this is quite a reversal compared to 5 years ago or 4 years ago.
I don't want to hear any more content drought complaints out of any one of you anymore. So much.
No,
I am not having a problem. I am not.
So you know that we've. I look forward to starting a character from scratch. And personally, I'm waiting for a couple more things before I do that again. But because you've got the...
Because you know it's coming and we don't.
Well, I always... Yeah, sure. but we've got a brand new Fed tutorial from from when launch, and
right.
upgraded the entire the Klingon front arc for the Federation. Now we've just redone the Romulan arc, and the Romulan arc is interlaced with the Romulan featured series, and so I don't know. Have you had a chance to play the new Romulan episodes?
I've played the
5 new ones.
I've only gotten two of them. The 2 new ones that come across when I signed in, and Tanae starts yelling at you.
Yes, yes. So there are 5 new episodes in the Romulan arc, and so there used to be 15 episodes in the Romulan arc, and now it's condensed to 5.
Okay,
and it's all fully voiced and cutscened and beautifully done, and they lead right into the Romulan featured series.
Fantastic,
right? So they just there. But what's more important about them is that they tell the Rom Republic story from the Federation side,
which was lacking because it didn't really exist until Legacy of Romulus came
So
out.
it's a retcon, right? And so now you play that. So you play that from that side now, and then on the other side we've updated the Klingon arc. I don't know. I hope that you had a chance to see. Not the Klingon arc, the Borg arc. Like we updated all the Borg front, so that's all done, and that's kind of fun. And that prequels the whole Delta Rising stuff, right? Because it tells the story of the Undine. And the origin of Cooper, right? So there's that story. So the only thing left is the Cardassian arc, which you just mentioned. One of your characters is coming in. So we're getting ready to rip that content out and replace that with 4 or 5 featured episodes, and probably merge that in with the Dominion arc. Right?
Oh, fun! That'd be perfect.
Right, try to get that in there and try to refresh that story. And then for me, the next one is to update the Klingon stuff. Right, update the Thekiri arc. And those old Klingon episodes, trying to make sure there's no more launch content left in the game, right? Get rid of all of that stuff. So it's a huge different experience to play, and like you said, if you play now from level 1, you have more content than you'll ever need to finish your character.
Right. I thoroughly agree. I mean, I'm having a really great time kind of re-experiencing some of that content from my level 50 characters that were just kind of stagnant. And because of that as well, they also have, they're just now starting the new R&D stuff that you've got into the game now.
Which should be a lot easier now since you can play 3 research projects at a time.
Which is by the way, thank you very much for that. That was pretty darn cool.
You should be able to get to 15 in one school in a pretty reasonable amount of time, and start upgrading at least one type of item.
Now, because I am a hoarder, and people go, well, why don't you have this and this? Really, I really am just still playing with pretty much mostly Mark 12, Mark 13 gear that I have, or it got through fleet stuff or whatnot. But I'm a hoarder, so I've collected gargantuan amounts of R&D material, and all I do on a daily basis is I really just renew the 20-hour projects on my main. So Beth, my main, she's to level 15 in 3 schools, level 14 in 1, and she just started. I think she's level 5 in the 5th.
Okay.
So as far as I'm concerned, I'm doing damn well. So when I get them all kind of. Then I have all of this stuff ready to go to upgrade material.
You're going to wait to upgrade until you've got them all at 15?
Yeah.
Just start upgrading now. Just start upgrading like your guns or whatever.
But
you have at 15.
anal retentive and OCD. They all have to be on the same time.
Oh, okay.
That's all. I mean, it's a 20-hour thing. It's easy for me to get it done. And now that they're up to level 15 on so many of them, I go, oh, look at all this stuff that I unlocked. And now I can start focusing on other things. Not the least of which is I'm already level 60. I'm not, and you know this, everybody. I am not a gear grinder. I don't need the latest and greatest. I don't PvP. I don't do that. Now it's time for me to kind of upgrade and get shiny to prepare for whatever comes in the future. Really, that's all it's going to be.
I've got all my R&D is up to level 15.
Yay.
I've been upgrading a lot of stuff as I go along, and I actually have 3 gold pieces.
Okay. I thought you meant 3 gold pieces like from World of Warcraft or something. Oh, you have 3.
What? Yeah, I didn't know. But you're talking elite.
Three items came out gold on your upgrade, huh?
I've got all of them are space. So I've got my shields, I've got my engines, and my deflector.
Nice.
And I do want to go and touch back on what we were talking about with my alt-itis, is I do want to thank you and the team at Cryptic for putting together the tech that allows for the easier reputation leveling on alts. To me, that is beyond fair. And I love the idea of, I don't mind participating in a reputation system on an alt, but it certainly makes it a lot easier to bear when you can use your mains token. And
right.
It makes it a lot easier and a lot more fun, to be honest with you.
And along the same lines, you've also added, like, to some of the special events, the ability to, for instance, if you unlock it on your main, go through the 1,000, grind out the 1,000, then you only have to run it once more on your alts in order to get, like, the featured ship.
Right.
Which I thought was really, really nice.
It's a very gracious move, and it really did make it a lot of fun, because I had, even in the summer in the Ryza event, I was able to go back in on every alt and get the ships for them just to have and say, okay, well, I got them, instead of feeling like I was in the game for 15 hours. So, a good hour and a half spent grinding my main and having a good time with that, and I didn't feel like it was a drudge for everybody else.
Yeah, I think we're going to try to even move that further to the point of just we're toying with the idea of if you get a ship through an event, that it just becomes an account unlock ship just immediately. So as opposed to even having to do the one extra day, but that might mean just kind of we're going to have to make a few changes to the way we have that system working.
Well, since the last time we spoke, the game itself has undergone a lot of changes, and at Cryptic and Perfect World itself, we have a new executive producer. So
yes.
Mr. Ricosa has come in.
Yes.
And how's that going?
You've met Ricosa, right?
I have met. Yeah. And I was very happy, but I know that it seems like, what would you say to the inevitable playerdom that's out there going, the naysayers, another new executive producer.
Well, I think that they should be happy because they couldn't stop telling me how terrible Stephen D'Angelo was. So, who I absolutely adore, by the way.
Right,
he's an absolutely brilliant man, and was just very, very proud to work with Stephen D'Angelo. I've worked with Stephen Ricosa for, I think he's been on the project for 7 or 8 years. No, he hasn't been that. It hasn't been that long. I guess he's been there about just under 7 years, because the project's been running for about 7 years. I was there 7 years ago, and he came in early, so he's pre-launch. He's been on the project, and right. Stephen really it's. Stephen Ricosa and I, have been just like the pair that basically, largely runs this project, right? The art leads and the engineering leads as well, but they on the creative side, it's largely Stephen Ricosa and I. And Stephen D'Angelo is a brilliant strategist and mathematician and engineer, and he's really good at breaking down system designs.
Right.
But he still has always been our CTO and our.
He was pulling double duty, wasn't he?
Oh, triple duty, right? Because he's in charge of. He's the CTO. He's also in charge of security. He's also in charge, not like guns, like no one breaking in, but like network security.
Right.
And he's in charge of a large part of the business operations as well of the company. So his role has always been largely strategic and very high level. And so Rikosa and I have already, we're basically used to just working together alone anyway, right? So it's really the cadence of things hasn't really changed, right? It's just me and Rikosa figuring out how to solve problems, and if we're lucky to find D'Angelo out of a meeting, then maybe he would make a call on something. But that's really, at this point, it's just then Rikosa making the call instead. It's our working relationship isn't really going to change much at all, and so it's not even going to be. I mean, players wouldn't even notice if we hadn't said anything. So, basically Star Trek Online is...
But isn't that always the case?
It is the case. It is. I mean, Stephen D'Angelo has really set up a really good, set up Star Trek Online as a really well-oiled machine about what our cadence is and how we structure our what we're going to build and how we structure our schedules and when things are going to be released and how early we're going to get something done. And at this time we're going to have this release, we're going to have this ship we're going to sell, we're going to have this content, we're going to have this. And so we just have a formula. And so we've been able to kind of rinse and repeat that for a while, and we're practiced.
Yep. So. Yeah, no, there's no doubt. And we should have started off the show with the congratulations on the 5 years.
Yes.
I'm personally just tickled pink about the whole thing. To be honest with you, I never would have thought I would have, still been as interested and still in love with the game as much as I am 5 years later, and I really am. Every time I think, I start to get that little nervous about, okay, where is it going to go? You guys inevitably find a way to, keep me interested and keep me in the game and happy. One of the questions that we just got from our listener base is one of the things I wanted to talk about anyway, and that was the announcement that the upcoming change will be a massive change to sector space.
Oh, the sector space stuff, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how is the sector space change? And can I just assume? Should I just assume that it won't affect the duty officer system all that much as the nebulas will still be there?
It's not going to. There is no intention to change anything about the duty officer system. You should be able to access everything that you could before. The only difference is that instead of having to zone to access the missions in that area, they'll just be kind of volume based. So if you're near if you're near Romulan space, you're going to get the Romulan space duty officer missions, and there'll be a border that will be invisible to players effectively. That if you're over here, you'll get those missions, and if you're over by Deep Space Nine, Cardassian space, you'll get the Cardassian duty officer projects assignments.
Interesting.
Right now, when we took out the old exploration
like
sectors,
Delta Volantis and
you can still access those missions by going to where the door used to be.
Correct.
Right?
That's what I thought. So it's just going to be the same thing, right?
It's the same thing. Yeah.
Perfect. Great.
So that's a volume that's set up. If you're in this square, if you're in this block that's on the map that you can't see, then you can get the assignment. So
that's awesome.
That'll be it. Yeah. So
Very
no worries.
Right on.
Yeah,
and when does that go into place? Do we have a date yet?
No, we don't have a date yet. I have a date, but you don't have a date.
Fair enough. Fair
enough. But we don't usually like talking about that stuff till it's way in development, right?
Okay.
So it'll be soon. And
TM.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Exactly.
I do need to say that because everybody's going to say it anyway. So,
but it will be soon. I mean, there's a point when you're kind of invested in building something that there's no going back, because if it's I don't know if you've noticed, but Star Trek Online hasn't missed a ship date for anything. At least maybe you guys don't know when those ship dates are, but we have a regular cadence of 3 months we get something out, and it's not like something gets pushed back a week. We've never pushed anything back. So once we've committed to a date and a release, it's gonna go out. So it's already in the pipeline. So
love it. Well, congrats on that too. One of the other things that Mike Sorry, you and I touched. Sorry, do you have another question first?
Let's see. Mike Tripp asks, will you share any information about the rumored 9-pack of command cruisers, 3 for each faction? If it's true, do you have a release date on that you can share with us?
Yeah, I'm not going to share anything that ends up on some leaks page. Right?
Okay.
That's people like to pig dive, we call it, because the files are pig files or hog files or something. They go there and they open up the files and they look for art and they look for information and they.
Is that where this came from?
Yeah, that's probably where it came from. I think someone was digging into some of the secured files and unsecuring them, and so every so often, sometimes, lots of times they get that stuff right. Sometimes they get it wrong. I enjoy it when they get it wrong, because then they start talking about things that either is like, oh yeah, we created that a long time ago and never really released it, or we're planning on doing anything with that, or so. Yeah, I'm not ready to talk about anything about that. That's it.
No problem.
Yeah. What I can tell you is that there will always be more ships, right? So and so we will keep releasing them and event, so that's there'll be no worries about that.
That's fair.
One of the other questions that was brought up by Commodore Bob is also one that I was going to be asking about as well, and that is, it kind of got triggered by something Mike and I were talking about, because both he and I went into Gateway recently and saw some changes in Gateway that are currently live, which we both thought were pretty darn cool. Mike, you said you have access.
Granted, these changes were apparently came out about a year ago.
Yes, no.
I have discovered, but they were new to me because I must have missed that memo.
Yeah, but I guess it really brought up the question is, with the news that Neverwinter has just made it out to Xbox One. Yeah. What kind of expansions can we hope to see for Star Trek Online as far as other types of accessibility, whether it be console or through the Gateway?
Well, I'm gonna have to be a poo-poo head and say that I don't think that at this point that we're going to be investing much in Gateway for Star Trek Online.
Interesting.
So I had hoped that we could get more resources to invest in, and I think it'd be a really good fit. Gateway stuff is worked on technically outside of Star Trek Online.
Right.
And so we've been doing what we can to kind of be ready for Gateway, with the changing to the officer UI and the crafting UI, basically making it Gateway friendly.
But it looks like it would work
really
so
well on a tablet. Yeah, I mean, it's been our intention to make it to do that. But at this point, if we want to get it on Gateway, it means having the team work on it instead of the Gateway mobile team of Cryptic, right? So they do not have the time to work on anything. They've got other things that became priority for them. So we could do it, but it would mean not doing stuff for the main game. So,
interesting.
Unfortunately, I don't see anything happening to Gateway for Star Trek Online for a while, and I'm really sad about that. So
me too.
Yeah.
Because I think because it's getting to the right now I do so much of Star Trek Online of just logging in and just doing some doffing and reputation and crafting and then logging out, and I could love to do that on the Gateway. So.
Yeah, it seems like it would be the perfect fit. Do all that on the Gateway, then actually log into the game and play to collect the resources you need in order to play on the Gateway the next day at work.
Yeah.
I think the words were at work. Al, you understood that, right? It's like, oh yeah, well, I'm sitting at my desk not doing my job. I could be on my tablet doing DOF projects. No, I'm just kidding.
So I just want to say that because I don't want to I don't want to have this thing where it's like, oh, when are you going to do this on the Gateway? The Gateway as well. It's and saying, yeah, we'll do it soon. Maybe one day we'll get some resources for it, but but I don't see anything happening for it in the foreseeable future, unfortunately.
Are there any plans to make it console compatible?
Probably be more likely than Gateway, but I don't know if that will happen. I don't know how we would do it.
Okay.
I don't mean resources-wise, technology. I mean purely design-wise. The game is so complex and huge and requires an awful lot of button pushing. Like Neverwinter was designed to work on a game controller from the start, you only have a limited number of powers, and you've got so many powers on Star Trek Online as you earn them. I don't know how we would squeeze all that into a 8-button controller or however many buttons. And so there had to be significant. I would say that there's more hurdles on the design side than actually on the technology side, because it's the same engine as Neverwinter, and we did it once. We could do it again. It's really just the hard part is just mapping,
coding it.
It's not even the coding. It's just because when we first started working on Star Trek Online, if you remember, our publisher was Microsoft early on, during that time, and they wanted to put it on Xbox. I remember we were just early throes of doing Star Trek Online, and then I got an email from Craig Zinkovich, our EP at the time, and the email said one word in the subject, opened up, and was a picture of the Xbox controller, and I was like, oh shit. So it's like we got to figure. So we actually had it working on Xbox at one point, and what I wanted to do at the time, which wouldn't work now, was that okay, let's split the game where if you're on PC you get to play as a cruiser, but if you're on a Xbox you get to play as an escort, and so because it's more dogfighter like, and so. Right. So I early prototype had once working had playing around in Defiant with an Xbox controller, Star Trek Online, and it was really fun. So it already works. It's just getting all the controllers and UIs now are so 5 years of changes is not nearly as easy to do. For instance, a lot of the reasons why everything is in 4s in Star Trek Online is because of the controller. There's 4 power levels, right? There used to be only 4 kit powers. Now there's 5, right? There used to be only 4 activatable captain powers, and the 5th one was passive. And then later, when we decided we were going to abandon Xbox, we made that 5th power an active power. So everything was in 4s just so that would fit on. You could just rotate through things, and you'd play on one of the 4 buttons, A, B, C, D, or X, Y, or whatever, triangle, square, or whatever. And so that's how it was originally designed, but we abandoned that so long ago that it's gotten way too complex, and now going back is really, really difficult. So so if it will ever happen, I don't know. Maybe if we did it, it would be a completely different SKU and wouldn't play with the actual game. It's a possibility, but I don't know when that would happen. It terrifies me.
But it's nothing that's currently on deck.
No. Yeah. No. It's no. But I could see it happening.
There's something I want to talk about real quick. I want to talk about Delta Rising.
Let's talk about Delta Rising.
The VOD War.
Yeah. VOD War.
Oh, my God. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
He loves the VOD War. Seriously, Al, you have no idea. He really loved it.
Oh, I told him all about it once before. He knows. And I was so pleased to see them in game. And the way that you guys treated them, I love it. Thank you. They are every bit as sinister as I thought they were going to be.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you liked it. We worked on it.
With a couple of surprises.
A few surprises. Tell me what was your biggest surprise?
Oh, the parasite. The parasites.
Yeah, the blue
the parasites. I was like,
Were you surprised? I worry about spoilers getting out there, but as I'm watching Twitter, people seem to be good. And people weren't spoiling too much. I was like, please don't spoil it for everybody. Please don't spoil it for everybody. And so...
no, I was utterly surprised. I had everybody who I was playing with.
Dragons. So what did you think? Like, did you think it was weird, like on the Romulan ship when when that one Vaudoir
really
was
strong,
shooting him, and no one could hurt him.
I was like, what the heck? Yeah.
So yeah, and then the next one, Dragon's Deceit, and you kill the captain, and then the bug crawls out. It's like
I was like, no way, no way. That's so cool. And it was great to have him come back because it really is one of the scariest villains that Star Trek: The Next Generation ever had. Yeah. And we never saw them again.
They never did anything. Yeah, they never did anything with them after that.
Which was always really fun because they were terrifying.
Are you up to date? Have you played everything else? Did you play the one-off? The one-off that came in November with Denise Crosby and Robert Picardo.
I'm pretty sure I have.
Because after in Delta Rising, the last in Delta Rising is you go and you do the attack on Vaudoir Prime.
Right.
So you've done that.
Yes.
Right. And defeat Gaul.
Yes.
Right. And then
I was even more surprised to find out he didn't have a bug.
Didn't have the bug, right?
Like, he's just a he didn't have the bug, but now all of a sudden I felt bad because I wondered whether or not I just did something that was way against the Prime Directive. And I'm thinking, oh crap. What did I get Beth into?
Yeah, and then
but it was great.
After that is there's the epilogue episode where, because at the end of that episode you find this device in Gaul's lab, and then the next episode after that is the one that came out in November. You had to be level 60 to play, which is you take that device and you follow the clues of that, and you go with the doctor. Okay.
Yes.
You have
and then you end up finding Sela.
Yeah. Fine, Sheila. Good. Okay. Yeah. I didn't want to do spoilers. So
no. I got that. No, I got through that one. I was like, okay, great. That's awesome. Right. I'm loving that.
That's where we then kind of wrap. We use that episode as like a wrap up to just it's the epilogue. To just put a little bow and everything. If anyone kind of missed the story, if they weren't putting the pieces together,
right?
Who the bluegills are, where they came from, right?
Right.
And the connection to the Iconians and the Vaudoir and everything. The one of the points of the Vaudoir is that the Vaudoir 100,000 years ago, right? They ruled the quadrant, and they were terrible, right? They were conquerors.
They were ruthless.
They were ruthless conquerors, and finally the entire quadrant band together to stop them and put them down, right?
Right.
And that is the same story of the Iconians, right?
Yes.
The Iconians conquered the galaxy, and all the races band together and put them down and sent them away. And so the two of them have the same anger, right? The two of them have the same history, and what they both fear the most is an alliance, right? Because that's the only thing that can stop them is if everybody burns together. So the Iconians have been working in Star Trek Online 5 years to try to, stop
keep everybody fighting each other.
Keep everybody fighting each other and in chaos, using tricking the Undine to be a large part of that. And so the Vaudoir have been trying to do that either through just destroying certain races and trying to get people to join them, but you have to build an alliance. Is the only way that you can stop them, and you build the alliance against them and eventually turn themselves against each other, right?
Right.
With the truth through the when you expose the truth about the leaders, and so that's what's going on in the background. It's like the Gaul and the leaders see the same. They at one point get in communication with the Iconians and realize, we have a common threat. Is just everybody. This is what that happened to you. It happened to me, man. Let's not let this happen again. And so that's kind of the theme. It's kind of the theme of and you'll continue to see that as a theme as far as the ideals of the Federation. It's just like we all work together, we can achieve anything, right?
It's almost the enemy of my enemy is all of a sudden my best friend.
To a degree. What I like too is the fact that the story continues on, and even through the eyes of the other factions as well, that they see the same type of positive energy from it, that, even as a Romulan Republic member, or even as a player who plays as a Klingon, is going to see that tactically, even along those lines, it is the best move, is to create those alliances, even though at the end of it all, that they're all not going to be buddies or whatever, but at least they're going to tolerate each other if it means combined survival.
And the later episodes of Delta Risings are also kind of meant to harken back to that one episode of Voyager where Janeway's in I think it's not the Void, but I can't, because that's a different episode, but I always get it mixed up with the name of the Void, where she's in that black space and she has to get all the races together to get in order to escape, because everyone is just fighting each other. But if we keep fighting each other, we're just all going to die. But if we band together, we can, she actually hooks up with a hierarchy, and there's actually a Vaudoir in there too. But they all band together in order to get out. So that's kind of, there's kind of going with the theme, and it was kind of poignant that the Voyager did something very similar there. So.
I like it too. Well, I was all I can say is, once again, I was very impressed with the writing. I loved where the story went. I loved the reemergence of the parasites and the. And you know what? The twists at the couple of twists that come in, the appearance of Harry Kim's body in the kicker scene. Yeah. The appearance of or the idea that Gall doesn't have the parasite, that just blew my mind. And again, just
did you was that? I was wondering if whether or not people picked up on that in the episode the Revolution, when you set off the dampening field to try to expose the worms, and he just walks out of it before you activate the device.
Yeah, but I thought
you just thought he just got lucky.
I thought he got lucky.
Yeah. No, it's just him. We had to show that we couldn't expose him then, right? So that was right. I didn't know whether or not people pick up on that. That whole episode is kind of reminiscent of the one on Deep Space Nine when the Deep Space Nine crew dresses up as Klingons and try to expose the changeling and puts up the damping device around. Do you remember that episode?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's basically the same episode.
You were heavily inspired by.
Yeah, no,
remember these words, heavily inspired by.
Intentionally inspired. I mean, we're trying when we build these episodes, it's not like we're trying we're trying to let people relive the moments of Star Trek in a different way, right?
Right.
And so it's intentional to be like that. I
just had the time of my life playing Delta Rising stuff, and even though with my main character well, here's the other thing I'm going to compliment you on, and I'm not sucking up everybody. It's that I finally got...
No, go on, please.
Not sucking up. The fact is that, yes, it takes longer to get from level to level to level between 50 and 60, especially after your character had finished all of the underlying content. There is no doubt that to get from 51 to 52, 52 to 53, and 55 and on, it can be a little tedious, and you can't get to the next storyline until you've reached that next level. So it could get a little tedious. For people who aren't like me, and here's why I'm going to say that and why I'm putting that on there. At first, it got a little tedious because I really didn't comprehend the ground zone at Kobali Prime.
The Kobali Venture Zone, yeah.
Yeah, I really wasn't quite grasping how that worked between, say, levels 52 and 3 or something. And so I found it a little bit frustrating because I thought, well, what do I do now? I can't do that. Or worse, because I couldn't open up the transporters on Kobali Prime to get to the further on, not realizing they were connected, right? Not realizing they were connected to episodes, that some of those open missions on Kobali Prime.
Yes, they open up at like
they open
53,
up, right.
55, and 57 or something like that. I can't remember which levels, but you get a different section, and then you can keep repeating the old ones.
Right. I'm such a ground battle nut.
Yeah.
That if given the opportunity, which I took full advantage of, mind you, once I opened up all of those missions and got to, I think it's like level 56 is when they finally all open. That's how I grinded through, and that's how I got through my leveling to level 60 is I didn't do it. I didn't do the patrols.
Yeah.
Like everybody else was doing because they all like space. I was on Kobali Prime.
Well, what's really unfortunate
is
that there's actually the Kobali Prime episodes replay is actually awarding very little, almost none XP.
I didn't care.
So it's coming, right? We're adding it to it, so you can go back once that's added. You can go back to earn to do more of that to earn your specialization point. And I love that you say I don't care. I do, because it's great, because I keep trying to tell everyone just enjoy the journey, right? I mean, the whole point is to have fun and enjoy what you're doing.
I want you to know that Beth is the best diagnostician on Kobali Prime.
Yeah.
She really is. She would make Dr. Crusher proud, because
Excellent.
she can diagnose energy burns like no one. But I had a great time because I finally got through, and because I really love ground, and so I was
it's
just
the best
loving
source
it.
of dilithium.
Is it really? I didn't get.
Yeah, you get like
attention.
720 dilithium for every one of those
I wasn't
missions.
paying
so it's
attention.
like
I was just shooting the shit out of barbed wire. It didn't matter. That was the one thing that Beth did that I got to do, was I leveled her Kobali weapon to 14. That was the one R&D project I did. I got that weapon to level 14,
so
and
I'm very glad to hear that you enjoyed that.
Oh, I had a ball. Still do, actually.
What I can tell is, people were used to a certain way that the game played, right? That you get to 50 is pretty quick. There's always content, and then you've done all your stuff, and then we changed the formula, and I had a very long conversation on Twitter last night with Lord Ice and about this, and trying to make people understand what we're trying to do. And there seems to be this desire, and I'll apologize ahead of time if I misunderstood Mr. Lord Ice, or if not representing him properly. But I'm not trying to represent Lord Ice. I'm just trying to represent what I'm gathering as a whole from some of the community members. And from what he is saying and what other community members are saying, is that there seems to be this expectation that I should be done, right? Why is it taking so long to be done with the game? And it takes so long to get a specialization point, or I'm just finished this rep and you add another rep, and I'm still working on the specialization, and you added another specialization. It's like, I'm frustrated, I can't win. It says, well, but that's what we're trying to do.
The game is never over. I don't understand. It's
like The Sims Online, the fact that we have too much end game is, to me, an epic win.
Yeah.
Right? And because if you were done, you'd be beating down the door saying there's nothing to do.
Or they'd leave.
Or they'd leave and say there's nothing to do. There's no it's content drought, or I'd leave because there's nothing to do. We will keep adding more stuff, and we are not expecting everyone. We're expecting most people to not be able to get everything. Is which do you want to invest in? Do I want to invest in pilot? Do I want to invest in this reputation? Do I want to invest in getting Mark 14 gear? Whatever it is that you want to invest in, you're going to have to be making choices, and there's always be more to earn. And it's supposed to be, that's the point, is that every day you make a little progress to something that you want. But you make...
The horizon is always supposed to be just out of reach.
And then right when you think you get over the mountain and you're done, there's another horizon, right? And that's and I think that people are not used to that because because for so long did have everything. But the point is, now I do think that maybe we don't have the pace right, that maybe it's too long before you get a little piece of something because you need to make a ding. But, especially if you finished your reps, like I haven't finished all my reps. So for me, every day I make a ding. Every day I log in and I go and I do something, and boom, I make, I get my rep mark daily, and I kick off that rep and I make something. I do my duty officers, and I every day I get a little XP and a little dilithium for my duty officers every day. I get a little bit further in crafting. So every day I'm feeling gratified. I'm getting a little bit further in something. And then sometimes, boom, I get a specialization point, or boom, I get a little piece of gear, or boom, I get a big chunk of dilithium. And that's the thing, is you make a little progress all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
See, I'm done with my rep. We're done with our fleet stuff. There's another question. We'll hold off to the side.
Well, I also have a comment about the rep system as well, so but go ahead.
And I'm done with that. But right now, my concentration at endgame for my main character is the duty officer system, because now I'm back into the swing of doing regular duty officer missions and getting her out there. And here's the thing, especially because of Q's little doo-ha, right?
Yeah.
I got to go do the Omega thing.
Yeah.
It's got me going through 3 separate sectors. I love the way that that's set up. Regardless of what I've got, I'm going through 3 separate sectors. So I know I can set up my duty officers in 3 separate sectors, because she's now like level 3 on, she's level 4 on a lot of things, but it's those other odd little ones like exploration or espionage that you can only get when you're in sector space that I need to go get. So I find it very convenient for me to go do that at the same time as the Omega stuff. So I'm having a good enough time doing that. But I do have to say that I'm kind of at that edge now where it's the only thing I've got left for her to do.
Are you not invested in the specializations?
Oh yeah, commando.
Right. So we just added command. So there's more.
Right.
I'm assuming you don't have all your specializations done.
No, she's got 5 more to go on that.
So you finished intel and pilot.
Levels. No, I'm doing.
Okay.
I told you I'm anal retentive. I do one thing first.
Okay, so you're just finishing up commando.
Commando.
Because you like ground.
Yes.
Okay, and then you'll do
I'll do
pilot
the
or
stuff.
intel, and then you've got plenty of stuff to and duty officers are a great way.
Yes.
Because that's what I do every day. I log in and I look for all the duty officer assignments that's got like 1,000 or 2,000 XP on it. It's like, oh, that one, I want that one. Do that one first to make sure I get my purple ones. It's guys
very, very true. But I'm also trying.
I look for all the 50 dilithium ones after that, and then I grab all the ones with.
See, and I'm right now. It's first things first. Is I'm already maxed out on diplomacy, science, engineering, but what she needs is again exploration, colony. Espionage, those things. So now I've got her kind of chasing those first. That's what I'm really doing, and then it'll be XP. So it's espionage first, and then. So
you're interested in getting your doc. You want to complete. You're a completionist. You want to get all those duty officer ones done, and those are more important to you than the XP ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because again, I don't need specialization points. And here's my rationale. I don't need those points just yet because I'm kind of already done with the major content. I'm done with the PvE stuff except for, so I don't need rep. I don't need that because it's my brain always goes with what do I need? Well, I need to finish those damn little lines in my duty officer.
Yeah. Well, what you need is specialization points. But you like to play escort, so you need those specialization points in pilot so you can do those barrel rolls.
Yeah, I'll get there. See, well, now I have an alt that I can concentrate on doing that with as well, so that'll be fun.
Yeah. I have a question regarding the reputation system. Since you guys have revamped the queues, it has been frustrating to get through almost anything on advanced. Mm-hmm. Because of the fail state. Now, granted, I understand why you guys did it, because you want to give the players that want the challenge, you're giving them the challenge. However, trying to get that gear when you're running a team and you fail and all you end up with is 12, marks or 10 marks or whatever it is, no progress being done towards that, towards the gear on the reputation system. It's just very frustrating.
So by the gear, you mean specifically meaning getting the elite marks, right? Like Borgnole processors or cybernetic implants or anything like that, right?
Well, I was more thinking along the lines of, like on the Delta Rising, you have to get those little.
They're like they're
The little tube things.
They're like ancient power cells. Ancient power cells.
Yes, that's
ancient power cells. Like they're ZPMs. That's what they are.
Yeah.
You remember ZPMs from Stargate?
From Stargate. Yes. So just
those internally we generally just call those elite marks. Those are the same as those and the Borg neural processors and the Voth cybernetic implants and those sort of things are like the elite marks. Yeah.
Okay. But Mike, are you talking about this? And pardon my confusion. Are you talking about playing a PvEQ on advanced or elite?
I'm just talking about advanced. I'm not even going to try.
He's talking about
elite.
You have to play advanced Qs in order to get those elite marks in order to buy the rep gear.
Maybe it's because I am spec'd for ground that I don't seem to have a problem getting them. I bug hunt like nobody's business.
You also are part of a fairly decent team. I am usually. Right?
No, I bug.
Do you play bug hunt on advanced?
Yes.
Okay, and then so you're getting your.
I'm getting the techno. Yeah.
Your tech.
I have like 30 of them.
Yeah.
Well, stored. I'm just having awful luck because on bug hunt it's a crapshoot, 50-50 chance whether or not I'm going to fail or not.
Really?
And when I try other queues. It's almost guaranteed fail.
Yeah. Now I have to say I just have to learn some of the tricks on some of them, but I will admit I probably have the same problem, Mike, on Space Advanced because I'm not as spec'd.
So I think that there's a couple things going on here, and this is not an uncommon this is not an uncommon complaint. That I need the elite gear. I need the rep gear to play the advanced Qs, but I can't get the rep. I can't get the advanced. I can't get it because I can't beat the elite the advanced Qs, and so I'm in this kind of I'm in this bad loop. So I think that in general some of the advanced Qs are too hard, and we've been tuning the Qs slowly because we can't tell which ones are really too hard until we get lots of play data to see how how much people are failing and succeeding, and how many are what optional objectives are they failing, succeeding. So as we're getting lots of data, we are making adjustments. We're making some easier and some harder, increasing rewards and decreasing rewards. So we have a lot of data, and so some of that is trickling out, and then we'll have a big chunk of it going out. The other part of that is just whether or not advanced in general is just too difficult, and I might say that it could be a little difficult. There's a couple different things. I mean, the critters are more difficult. They're level 60 critters, and there's optional objectives, which makes it harder. But in general, also, I mean, people, maybe advanced is okay if people could just get a hold of those elite marks more easily. And so one of the things that we are doing is we're adding elite marks to, say, for instance, the adventure zones. So you'll be able to, because right now you can get, for instance, the Voth cybernetic implants by killing the giant T-Rex, right? So if we make so you can just go to that Voth battle zone right now and kill a T-Rex and get a Voth cybernetic implant, and then you can start making progress towards getting the Voth gear. So we want to do the same thing for the Kabali adventure zone and the Deferi zone. So that way you can get you can get the Borg cybernetic implants from the Deferi adventure zone from those 3 boss fights, and put them into, and also somewhere put them in the Kabali adventure zone. I wanted to put them on that tank, but I think we're going to put them in 3 locations in there, so you can start earning those there, and then that will allow you to get the better gear, which then maybe should make playing advanced Q a little bit easier. But if advanced Qs are still too hard, and I think that they might be, at least some of them are, I do want to make them a little more accessible. So I agree, and we're working on that. And not only that, but we're generally increasing the rewards of a lot of things across the board. people are playing Argala, right, because it has the best XP, because now people really only care about XP. A lot of people only care about XP. So now Argala is way over rewarding, and I'm going to have to start getting people used to the idea that Argala is not supposed to be the norm. And so we are going to be adjusting that. So what happened is that we have this thing called reward scale, okay? And so reward scale says basically it determines a lot of things, but basically it determines how much XP you get, right? And so it also determines how much dilithium you might get, for instance, on certain content. So if we have a it's supposed to be a reward scale of 1 for every 10 minutes of play.
All right.
So you can, and it can be, it can be like 1.5, it can be whatever the designers want to make it. But I mean, you can manually set it to whatever you want. But basically, the general idea is like a reward scale 1 for 10 minutes. So if you're playing like a 30-minute queue, it's like a reward scale 3. That's how much XP you're supposed to get out of it. So the patrols went out, and they went out with a really low reward scale because they were giving the same reward scale as the old patrols were. So they were getting like a reward scale of like 1 or 2 on them. And so they were really low because when we made the patrols for Delta Rising, a lot of the patrols are like 30, 40 minutes. They're really long, right? So it's like, wow, these patrols are really, really long because patrols used to be like 10 minutes. We need to increase the rewards on them. Well, they got across the board increased to like reward scale 6, and that was way too much, okay? But 6 wasn't so bad for some of those queues because it was like, okay, it's okay if they over-reward a little bit, but Argala, since is a really fast queue. So Argala, first of all, is Kazon, which is like the weakest critter group in the game for that level. And you don't have to go around patrollings and clickings and doing anything. It's just wave after wave of Kazon. And so you can finish that queue in 10 minutes. So it's over-rewarding 6 times normal reward scale. Wow. And so that's why people are parked there doing that. And I know people are going to get used to that's how it is. And so why aren't the queues rewarding that much? It says, well, this is where I always say my favorite expression is like it's easier to, if there's a lump in the floor, it's easier to flatten that lump than to raise the floor to the level of the lump, right? So we have one anomaly right now that's over-rewarding, and it's going to come down. But we do want to bring a lot of the rewards up. So rewards in, like I said, we're going to add XP to Adventure Zones on replay. We're going to add more XP to queues and bring queue XP up. We're going to add dilithium to patrols, so you'll actually be able to get dilithium now from 480 for 15 minutes of play from things like Argala, any of the patrols. We're also going to add dilithium to missions, so you're going to be able to just earn them just from dilithium from level 1, just from normative gameplay. And on replay as well. But we are going to have to reduce some XP on patrols and probably put cooldown timers on patrols, just like run queues. So you can't just sit outside of Gargala and play it over and over and over again. So it's okay then if we have a few queues and a few patrols that are over rewarding because you won't be able to keep doing it over and over again. In general, everything is coming up. Dilithium even, I think, on queues are coming up. And XP will probably double on queues. The
idea of being able to earn XP at a lower level definitely makes it more appetizing for me to start kind of re-leveling some of my lower level alts.
You mean dilithium?
Yeah, I'm sorry, dilithium. Yes, to go back to some of my alts that I left hanging at level 15 or something like that. That would be fun.
Yeah, so playing a regular mission should just earn you, and then if you replay as well, you'll get some, and a pretty good amount too. So,
anything's better because most of the time period when I was there, you couldn't even start earning dilithium until you access the DOS system, and those, as much as and adequately so, they're small awards. So. Yeah. By the time you get to level 50, you only have a few thousand dilithium if you're lucky.
So our goal is to make it so that XP and dilithium is more of a time currency. So you play the content you want, and in general you're going to earn those at a similar rate, regardless of what you make. And so what I'm trying to get people to understand is instead of thinking that I should be able to have my specializations done. It takes too long. It takes 6 months to get all my specializations done, and then you add another specialization. It says, well, yeah, it's kind of the point because if you didn't have that, let's just say we didn't introduce the specialization system. What would you do? Right? You'd be playing the game anyway and not earning anything. Right. So the idea is that don't worry about optimizing your specializations. Just play the game that you like, and along the way, every couple play sessions, you'll get a reward, right? And just play normally. because if we didn't, because that's what I want people to think about. Is like if we didn't add the system, you wouldn't be complaining that I didn't have it all now. So it's just a system that's very scalable for us to keep adding more and more. So that way, every time you play Star Trek Online, you will be making progress towards something. We're going to give you something else for your participation. It's not the idea that here's something that you should be able to achieve in a few weeks and then not have anything. So I'm trying to shift perspective on that, and I think people are not expecting that because it is different than what we've done before.
Well, you had mentioned you're going to increase the rewards and include dilithium in different in almost everything. It seems like. So, will you also be increasing the amount of dilithium we can refine?
I've talked about it. I won't give any promise on that. I've been talking with Ricosa about considering something like that. I personally think it'd be perfectly safe to make it a nice even 10K instead of 8K. So I think that would be perfectly safe. But beyond that, I wouldn't want to comment too much because. But we certainly we're very recently talking about whether or not we could safely do that. But honestly, there are people who earn 8K a day. And there are people who think that is normal, and it is not normal.
No.
So if we increase the cap, it's really the cap is there because we have caps on dilithium. We have time gates. We have a lot of our systems are you have to let it bake for hours or days. Those things are in place very much on purpose because there are so many different styles of game players out there, people who play very casually and people who play very hardcore. And they're there to govern that, to kind of level the playing field for everybody. And so that way there's a maximum rate in which you can earn something. And at most we want, we think that it is good for the health of the game of what rates you earn them. So the average person earns about 2,500 dilithium a day, plays for about 2 to 2.5 hours, and plays about 3 times a week. That's the average. And so people who are earning more than 8K a day and saying that after that, it's I'm wasting my time. It's like, well, you're only wasting your time if you play 7 days a week and earn 8K a day, because anything extra that you can't refine, you can just refine the next day, and just log in and just refine it and go home. But most people aren't anywhere near that cap, and so it's the forums is not representative of the norm. It's not. True. It's representative of far more advanced players, and they are good and important parts of our game. But there are mavens. There are ones that really that stick around for a very long time. The one who's most invested. But we're building a game for a large span of play styles.
Well, my thinking was, and I don't want to beat the topic to death, but my thinking was that cap was pretty much set when dilithium was introduced, and it hasn't changed yet. But since then we've gotten a ton of new ways to earn dilithium, as well as 1,000 ways to spend it. And yet that number has not. But
what's so funny, Mike, is I have to admit
that was my thing.
And I have to admit when to make Al's point for him is I think I might average 3,000 to 4,000.
Yeah, that's what I usually average as well. But lately I've actually been playing a lot more than usual, and I've accumulated a nice tidy sum, and I, especially now with upgrading requiring, dilithium or, I tend to go through it so quickly.
Well, here's the bottom line too that we have to be careful about. It actually might be safer for us to make more dilithium available to earn than to raise the cap too much. Because what you earn in dilithium, you can effectively turn into cash. Right.
Yeah.
And that is true.
So
that is true.
The more we increase that, the more that people can buy Zen with it. And And so that is a, you know, it is something that we can't just, it's not just about game balance of earning, of what things that I can unlock. It's about how much money we might potentially make, right? So there is definitely there's a definite correlation there that's important to not let get too, you know, just can't open the floodgates too much on. So we probably can open it up a little bit, but if we increase the amount of dilithium everyone earns in the game, that makes it more, that allows it for people like you, Terry Lynn, who may be earning 3 to 4 a day, might earn 6 or 7, versus someone who's maxing out at 8. You start, then everyone gets a little bit more even on the playing field. If I then at that time raise the cap to 15, then those people who are earning 8K will be earning 15, and you, Terry Lynn, will only be earning now. We'll still be earning the same thing, right? 3K, right? Yeah. So they're those. The math for a game this big is hard. And I can't overemphasize that too much, because people say, why don't you just change it? Why aren't you changing it now? Why don't you change it now? It's because it's hard. And it's not just like, yeah, sure, I could just change that to 10K. You know what? That would be really that'd be very irresponsible of us to just make quick changes like that. And we don't always get it right. We don't. And so prudence is the name of the game, really, because you can't roll it back, right? You can't make it 10K or 15K a day and then say, wow, it was too much, we're going to make it 8K a day. Right? Yeah,
you can't pull back on it's once the dragon's out of the box. I do have one more question from our listeners. They were wondering about the Delta Quadrant fleet holding. Do you have an ETA that you can share with us on that?
In 2015, we were making we're planning on making a large investments in fleets again. So
great.
Okay. So sometime this year, if all continues to go as planned, and that doesn't always happen. We have a plan all the way through to the end of 2015, story and systems and schedule and everything. The further out it goes, the less accurate it is. But currently we have a plan to add a lot of love to fleets. So.
Fantastic.
What can you give us any hints about what might be seen for Federation Day?
For what? Oh, for First Contact Day?
Uh-huh.
Oh, First Contact Day. Well, I could tell you this. We had a big plan for First Contact Day and created this event that we then didn't finish, and instead made something else that's going to come out at around that time, something more important. So we've got something else coming out. So unfortunately, First Contact Day this year is going to be either non-existent or no different than last year.
Right.
So because we shifted into something else. But
interesting.
But my goal is to turn First Contact Day into a much bigger event next year. That would be just another, really big event. Like I don't know if it will be as big as a winter event, but there was a zone map included with First Contact Day that we were working on. That didn't get finished. So a whole zone associated with it.
Holy crap!
So we may take that and make that something else, and then build something else for First Contact Day. We may go ahead and finish that and just make that First Contact Day for next year. But it didn't make it this year. We had to refocus on something else that we felt was more important. So First Contact Day this year, a little lighter than previous years, and it was already pretty light, but a lot of stuff coming out around that time. So we've got a lot of stuff. So
I was going to say, are there any hints that you want to give us?
Well, I'll tell you that we've got we will probably have a featured episode that will come out around then, and that will be and it'll probably have celebrity talent associated with that.
Nice.
It will continue our story. It won't be a one-off, and it will lead into season 10. And so there'll be a kind of like a 1, 2, 3 punch in a row of like this featured episode, this special thing event thing that we're doing, and then season 10. And so we've got a very aggressive, fast-paced cadence coming out very soon.
Very, very cool.
Of story-based content and systems. So.
Right on. Well, you had mentioned the winter event. A few weeks ago when it was going on, I had made a comment on the show about what I didn't like about it, which was comparing it to the summer event. The summer event is a lot more relaxing. You know, that it's not so combat focused, and yet Q keeps messing with us. It's like, can't Q be a nice guy and just give us a break every now and again?
He's an idiot.
But any chance that we might see something a little more relaxing on the winter event? I mean, when it first came out, it seemed like there was more time to just hang out with friends than later events.
I think that my analysis of the winter event was interesting because the winter event was far more popular than the summer event. And I think that as we kept adding to the winter event, I don't think we kept a good eye on the whole thing holistically. And a lot of it just became just too many different things to do to keep track of all the time. And in not a very cohesive manner. I think that I want to really reinvest next year for next year's winter event to kind of redo a lot of what's in the winter event. I mean, for instance, you've got the daily, which is now 4 years old, the daily to do, and it's probably not the most fun thing in the winter event to do. You've got this Candyland that you go in a separate, or not Candyland, the Gingerbread Land, where it is on an instance over there. And you've got this huge winter map with very little to do on, right? And so, and a number of other little kind of mini games going on. I think the whole thing just feels a little disconnected. And I'd like to invest in, I don't have a full design plan or anything, but just kind of making it a little more cohesive, a little more fun play. I think that I think that the other thing that's frustrating for me now is having to take out all my gear to play the winter event, and then when I leave the winter event, have to reslot all my normal gear again. I want to make that process a little easier. I have so many snow guns, and now all these different kit pieces or devices that I have to swap out. So I think that kind of got bigger than individually each year was okay, but then looking at it as a whole, wow, this is a whole lot to manage. So it became too much to manage, and so yes, I think it distracted from the fun. So I think this last year we just got a little too big with it, and we're going to have to refocus that and maybe rethink how that winter event plays. So I think, for instance, in the summer event, we're probably we're going to try to avoid making that same mistake and just add. Every year we say, we'll just add 10% more to the zone, and instead we had like 30% more to the zone, right? So we're going to try to keep more than just 10% more to the summer event this year. Focus on the rewards and just maybe add some like squirt guns and balloon fights or something like that. I don't know.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
That sounds fun. I like that. And I had a question, and it just went right out of my brain.
So since you love ground, Terry Lynn, what was your experience when you did the last golf fight? That was like the hardest ground fight that I can recall in the game.
Dude, I kicked his ass.
You kicked his ass?
I kicked his ass.
Oh, I was
so happy.
I almost got through without a team wipe, and I got one team wipe, and I was like,
Now, I do admit, I think
I died once.
Did I die? I came close.
I
might have died once, but I was very, very pleased because, again, I was, I throw everything. I mean, everything into ground that I could. And not the least of which is I have really good boffs. I really love my bridge officers. My ground team for my bridge officers, man. Don't if you mess with them, I'll be very upset. but I do have to say, speaking of bridge officers, it kind of really kind of it made it intriguing was this new bridge officer training system that you guys have implemented.
I love this new system. There's a few little quirks, but it's so easy to equip a ship and change a power on the fly and then move into another ship. I don't know if you've invested much time into it.
I have just...
I've been purchasing manuals.
Yeah, just going wild.
I run out of money because not only do I have a lot of alt, but I also have a lot of bridge officers. So I blew my entire wad. I mean,
you shouldn't have to train. I mean, it's great. You shouldn't have to train all your bridge officers. The system actually should mean that you should be able to condense the amount of bridge officers that are important to you.
Well, that's my question was, this really does make it very, very simple. And do you think it maybe makes it too simple for, say, a new player that comes in and has, to not go out and seek out new bridge officers?
It's always been a kind of a struggle that we've gone back and forth on, even from the very beginning, is how much do we want you to invest in a small number of bridge officers versus wanting to collect more and more of them. I think that what we want to do is make you want to seek out new bridge officers, but you want to seek them out because they have really good manuals on them. And maybe you get this really interesting one. Wow, I've never seen a purple Cation before. I think I really want to keep him. Or, no, I don't really like that purple Packlet, but I really like his torpedo spread 3. And so that they all have value, but they may not be value in that you want to just collect 30 bridge officers anymore.
That's great. Okay.
I think what was more important to me was making sure that it was easy for you to switch from a cruiser to an escort, or probably worse, from an escort to a cruiser. Because, my guys don't have...
They're all cannons.
They all got cannon powers, and these are useless, so I have to retrain everything, or I have to have a separate set of bridge officers. But, the cannon... This cruiser doesn't have a lieutenant commander or lieutenant, tactical slot, and so I have to move this power down. I would have to write all my powers down on a piece of paper and plan my retraining and go back to the bridge officer trainer and plan and replan it just to move ships, and it would take like a couple hours. That had to go. And I'd rather lose the need to have lots of bridge officers if it made it easier for people to swap ships, to swap their gameplay style, experiment with different powers. It should be much easier to get into an intel ship or whatever other type of ship we might release in the future, and experiment with one intel power and see if you like it or not. No, I don't like it. Let me go back to engineering team. Or, I love it. It's way better than engineering team. And experiment with it. And just right in the middle of a mission, just change it out. I wanted that process to be much, much better. I still think that you will need, more than 5 bridge officers, because not everybody will train, especially new players. Not everyone will train everything in every bridge officer, because it gets more and more expensive. Every time you train another power in a bridge officer, it costs more to train them in expertise.
Right.
So the expertise cost keeps getting more and more expensive.
But that part's really not any different.
Well, no, because before you could only have one commander power on a bridge officer. Now you could train them up to 9 ranks.
Oh, that's true.
Now you get the full 9 ranks.
I see what you're saying.
But then your cost is done. If you want to then train them in another power, then it costs like, 800, and then it costs 2,000, and then it costs 20,000. Once you get too many. So it's like, I can either train one guy in everything, or I can train 2 guys, and half of everything would cost me half as much.
Yep.
So,
you had mentioned being able to pull powers or the training manuals from bridge officers.
That will be out in a week or so.
So it's not out.
I thought I was missing something too much.
No, this Thursday.
I couldn't figure it out. How do I do this?
It'll be very much like it was before. A little bit simpler now. You will just simply, you'll get your bridge officer, and you can say if you want them to
train it.
to join.
Did you say that'll be installed on Tuesday?
No, I think it might be ready. It might be ready this Thursday. I'm not sure. And
okay.
so, and then you'll be able to just basically convert them into a training manual, and then you'll get a list of his 8 powers, and you pick the one you want, and you basically, discard that guy for a training manual. Yeah. So you'll be able to do that again.
Well, you were asking me, and I bypassed you, and I apologize for that. You were asking me about ground and why I loved it. Was there a train of thought that was going there? The
train of thought was I was just wondering what your experience was because of that ground fight, because if you thought it was too hard or not. Because when I played it, I did the same thing. You said I have everything on ground, and so I'm fighting Gaul, and I said, all right, it's time to bring out the pattern enhancers from the Davidian arc, right? And I don't know if you've used that much, but it will bring in sometimes there's a chance of bringing in somebody else.
It absolutely does bring in some freaking
Davidian.
Yes.
And it effing brought in a Captain Davidian. So I was like, no!
I'm sorry, that's hilarious.
It's like, I can't believe it. It's like the one time I would use that thing. And a Davidian captain came in with the little snake staff, and I was like, oh no.
That
went very...
So boss battles.
That went bad very quickly after that for me.
No, I avoided that. I have to admit I avoided that. But I ended up... It was a challenging fight. Don't get me wrong. I know I kicked his ass, but I have to say it was a very challenging fight, and therefore I found it very, very fun. Yeah. So I had a ball with it. I really enjoyed it, and that's why I said at the end of it, to find out that he didn't have the damn thing in his head was like, oh man, I just murdered this guy.
He's just the toughest. So
that just made him worse, right? Because he sold out his people, right? And he wasn't, and he didn't do the same thing, right? He didn't. He didn't.
But the thing is,
he made everybody sacrifice their soul.
Keep it quiet now. It's like, oh.
And at that point, it should have become an internal matter.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm like. No,
but in the end, you're there to really clean up Voyager's mess, right? I mean, you kind of have to, and that's kind of the whole point. And that's what 7 of 9 is telling you, is that this was a mistake that Voyager made. This is the responsibility of Starfleet to kind of correct this, because maybe it would have happened eventually on its own, but maybe not. It was the fact of the matter is that Voyager let them loose, and this had to be fixed. Yeah. So Prime Directive was already out the window at that point.
That's true.
So
very, very true.
I think we've asked this. I think we've asked this particular question once before, but now that times have changed, we've gotten a few new voiceovers, but who would you like? Not you don't have to tell us who we're actually getting next, but who would you like to get next into the game?
Oh, that's fairly easy, although the list is not short. First pick would definitely be Patrick Stewart. In a heartbeat, if I could have anybody, any single one person would be Patrick Stewart, and then I'd have him revoice our trailer and everything, right? So it would be the whole year the whole season at least would be just about Patrick Stewart if I could get him right. So that'd be first choice. So Patrick Stewart is a top choice.
He's big on the wish list.
Yeah, he's big on the wish list, and so is George Takei and John Delancey are really big on my wish list, and in addition to that, I'll say LeVar Burton and did I say Will Wheaton already? And Will.
Yeah. I'm picking up some TNG themes here.
Well, we haven't really explored a lot of TNG, and the TNG crew are hard to get.
Yeah, they are.
They're generally expensive. Yeah. And
there's no doubt about that. I think everybody on the planet knows that they would be expensive.
So there's I mean, I could keep going on. I'd get Esri Dax, I'd get Kira and Odo and so there's a lot. I'd love to have Tony Todd, right? Because to have him make sweet love with his voice, it's just he's just he's so.
Oh my God,
cool.
that might actually give Obasek a run for his money with my heart. I'm just saying.
I do have a request. Someone I would love to see in game, and you don't have to pick anything that he's done, just to have him in game.
I was just going to say you're going to say Jeffrey Combs, isn't it? Right? Of course.
Anything, any role doesn't even have to be something that he's done before.
So we actually years ago spoke with Jeffrey Combs, and he said he would work with us. But at the time, we weren't SAG affiliated. We weren't Screen Actors. So he wouldn't work with us.
He couldn't work.
So now we're SAG.
Yay!
If I could, I would have made him Sean. But now we already have a voice for Sean, and I don't want to break the heart of the guy who plays Sean. It just is really, really loves to play Sean. But I would have loved for that to actually have been Jeffrey Combs, and that's who we wanted to have for the voice of Sean. But we weren't SAG, so he wouldn't work with us. So I can't retcon that out. But there's so much that we could do with his character, and he's done already so many different things, and just to have him play anything would be great.
He's a very talented man. He can do anything. He can read the phone book and make it interesting.
Yeah, he's got a great voice. And I also, who I met and spoke with recently is I actually want to have Felicia Day in the game. So not Star Trek related, but super, geek,
Oh yeah,
gamer
cred. Yeah.
So I'd love to have Felicia Day. So there was a Supernatural convention here in San Francisco, but it's Creation One. And by the way, very, very unique experience compared to a Star Trek convention. It's the first non-Star Trek convention I went to.
And?
It was I felt like an outsider, unlike at a Star Trek convention, because I'm like, who's this guy? I don't know who this guy is. What are they talking about in the story? Because I watch Supernatural, but I don't watch Supernatural like I watch Star Trek, right? Yeah. I haven't rewatched every episode a dozen times, and don't know the show details intimately, and I don't know a lot of the characters. So people are screaming and yelling about and hooting about people and events. I'm like, I don't really know who they're talking about, and so I felt really much like an outsider. I felt like that guy who sits behind me in a Star Trek convention and says, who's Jeffrey Combs? I was like,
sacrilege. No.
Touche.
Which one is Nog? I don't know. What? So that's what I felt like. So I felt like that guy at the Star Trek convention.
Oh.
And also, it was probably 75% teenage girls.
Yeah.
A lot of teenage girls fawning and screaming over these boys. It was so funny. I got a video like they go up there. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Talking to the actors.
That is
like,
priceless.
Oh my god! And then running back to their seat, like shaking their hands, like they're shaking, like they just saw like a rock star, right? I mean, like you would see. It's like they're just trembling that they get to talk to these people, and it was a little. You
mean kind of like Nick is around Nicole DeBoer?
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that was a very strange experience. But for me, I actually it was my wife's birthday, and she loves the two guys. It happens to be on her birthday, so we went there for that. But I also wanted to see Felicia Day.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big fan of hers. So I got her autograph and I got her contact info, and maybe that'd be really cool to get her into the game. One of the ideas we've gotten floating around is it's not like a big spoiler, but someone might say it's a spoiler, but I'll say something. Wouldn't it be cool if she was, say, I don't know, Reginald Barkley's daughter, like this really quirky?
Oh my god! Oh yeah! Oh my goodness! That would be awesome.
I was trying to figure out what should she play. Should she play it like really tough, straight, straight and tough? But she does so well the quirky,
Oh, that's
lovable
priceless.
Character, right?
That would be awesome. Yeah, that would be really awesome. Make that happen.
Wait a minute. That means that Reg actually.
Oh, well, we knew he was.
Well,
we knew he was in Voyager.
In Voyager, at the end of Voyager, he was married, right?
Yeah.
Well, wait, he was married?
Yeah. He was married. In Endgame, when he was older, if he wasn't. I'm pretty sure he was married. He was at least dating somebody. He was
definitely with somebody. Yeah. And I want to say it was with somebody that he had been with for a long time.
Yeah. So he had gotten over his anxiety issues except when he started having to lie about where Janeway was and he started stuttering again. So,
right.
But I don't know if I was to work with her, if she was interested. I definitely want to. I would want her to play something that she would want to play, and we'd make a role for her, right? And said maybe she wants to play the tough guy captain or the kick-ass chick, or maybe she's okay with playing the quirky Barkley.
She can do both very, very, very well.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen her Skyrim stuff, so I can thoroughly see her in any role.
I'd put her in captain of a ship or whatever. So if we were able to work something out, I'd kind of see what it is that she'd want to do, and we'd make and then we'd work around that. I mean, we have that flexibility to do that.
Well, speaking of ships, it's the one thing we really haven't talked about yet. We've talked briefly about some ideas about some new ships that might be coming up, but the new ship that I am currently working on, which I believe is the anniversary ship, the Vaudoir. What is that sucker? It's a cruiser?
That's Sansa something. Oh, yeah, it's a battle cruiser, I think, right?
It's a battle cruiser, I think. Yeah. You're pushing 500 ships now?
450 is last count on the infographic.
I remember meeting you the first time and you showing me that Excel spreadsheet, and I thought you were high then.
Yeah, it's 2 sheets now. We filled the first sheet. It's done.
Oh my God.
I mean, Excel said no more, and so we had to split the sheets out. So.
Oh my God.
Wow.
No.
Soon it'll be by faction,
Excel
right?
was no mas, and so
with the flexibility that we've seen coming out with some of the new Tier 6 ships that, with the Intel ships especially that I am now flying, I have a really dumb question to ask because I don't know. I'm a little confused with ship mastery.
Okay.
As you play on a Tier 6 ship, Tier 5
or T5U.
T5U, as you gain the mastery points, which gives you passive ship abilities.
Yes.
And then when you reach the maximum, it gives you that final kind of
a trait, a starship
trait.
The starship trait's only on the Tier 6 ships, not on the Tier 5Us.
Okay.
The Tier 5Us and the Tier 6s have the passes, and only the Tier 6 have the starship traits.
So I earned my first trait with my escort.
The Phantom?
The intelligence. Yeah,
okay.
The intelligence escort.
Yeah.
My question to you is now, if I choose to switch ships, do I get to keep that trait on the next ship?
Yes, the trait is a trait just like ground traits or reputation traits. If you go to your trait window, there's a section there for starship traits.
And then you can plunk them in.
And
okay,
they have
so
a list of the ones that you've unlocked, and then you can have 4 active. So you want to at least unlock 4. You want to at least unlock 4 starship traits. And
so it would really behoove me right now to switch my ship into another Tier 6 ship and gain the mastery in that one.
Yes.
Got it.
The idea is to get you to keep trying different ships. To try different ships and see what play styles you actually like, and B, to keep buying ships because
that's how you support
we like
the game.
Right. And then you can pick the 4 that you want on the on your trait window. It's no longer associated with the ship once it's unlocked, and you can also earn a trait from finishing a specialization. So when you finish your I'm assuming there's one on Commando. But once you finish a specialization, you get a trait unlock as well.
Okay.
So each ship will unlock another
Every
trait?
Tier 6 ship unlocks a unique starship trait.
I've been doing it wrong the whole time.
You've been doing it.
I've been flying around a Tier 5 ship, the same one this whole time.
No, you want to keep trying all the 6 ships, and then you can go back and play your favorite Tier 5U ship, and then because you'll have the traits on those.
You'll have the traits on it.
So you want to just keep. That's what I'm doing right now. My big goal is I'm trying because I get all the ships. But I still have to unlock them myself. So to try to unlock those all and try. Yeah.
Does that also include the Tier 6 ship that we got with the Bring?
Yeah, that one.
In the winter
that one
event?
Has its own trait.
And then also the one that we're working on now with the
anniversary event.
The anniversary event. That's also got its own unique trait. Wow, my mind is blown.
So does the Dauntless and all the Intel ships, and so does the Vodwar ships, all the new lockbox ships.
All the new lockbox ships.
All of those ships all have special traits on them. The one there's the one I'm working on right now. Which is probably the biggest beast of a ship that I've ever played. Is the Alachi Dreadnought, and you get that if you haven't. And not everyone gets that. That one you get when we were having the special event where if one of you buy crafting kits, you had a chance of getting you got extra low buy. If you got buy crafting pack, and you used to put them on duty officer packs, but now we moved them to crafting packs, and you could get this Alachi Dreadnought. And that Alachi Dreadnought is just, first of all, it's massive, and it's this huge tank. It's really indestructible, but it comes with separation, so you can separate the bottom piece of that ship, and you can also put on it the other Alachi powers, so you can get the crescent beam in there, and you can also summon the 2 frigates that come and support it. So you can actually fly 5 frigate pets with that ship. The separated piece, the 2 frigate support pieces, and then you can slot in its hangar. Alachi frigates. So you can have 5 frigates flying with that. And its trait is whenever you fire a photon torpedo high yield, you get another free photon torpedo high yield immediately. So you can fire 2 high yields in a row with that trait. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Okay.
Well, that presents a problem for me now.
What ship to choose, huh?
Well, see, what I have been doing is all of my lockbox ships that I get, whether it's low buy or whatnot, I send them to an alt. So my alt has all of these ships, and now it's like, man, I never should have done that.
Now you have to level the alt. I'm just saying. Well, it makes sense to me. Well, it wasn't making sense to me, which is why I asked, because I'm far more cautious when it comes to, it's like, oh, look, I just got all this mastery. I finally got one of the ships mastered, and I noticed the trait popped in.
Yeah.
My fear was if I put a new ship on that I'll just lose everything I just worked for.
Well, it's a fair assumption because we all know the devs are anti-player. So so I can totally understand why you might think that.
No, that was more of a tech issue for me. I don't trust, it's like that old. You have to remember, I'm a DOS. I was with COBOL. I remember if you take something out of the slot, you'll never be able to put it back in. I'm just telling you, it's my age. So it had everything to do with that. It was like I didn't want to remove the ship and not play it and start all over again if I was going to lose the trait I had just earned. No, but
the whole system is there to get you to try multiple ships, so that way you can keep unlocking.
Well,
more
that makes considering I bought the Delta Rising pack, it now gives me an opportunity to open up those other 2 intelligence ships I haven't tried yet.
Yeah, even if you don't want the ships, you just want the gear off them. They get the set piece, and then you want the traits off of it. And the traits on the Intel actually all work together really well. They're intentionally designed to work really well together, and I can't exactly tell you why because for the life of me I can't remember. But they do something like every time you run a science power, you get a bonus to engineering powers, and every time you run an engineering power, you get a bonus to crits, and every time you do a crit, you get a bonus to your science powers, or something like that.
Right,
so they cycle, so they're kind of circular in how they keep supporting themselves, those
Very
traits.
Cool. And to be honest with you, it would be really fun to put Beth back into a cruiser again, just because it's been a while. I've been playing escorts for so long. I would like to be able to just say, oh yeah, let's just throw her in a cruiser for a while and see what she does. It'd be fun.
Well, I'm going to ask a selfish question. Any chance that we can get some kind of the ability to either repack a ship or to discharge it and then reclaim? Yeah.
There has been talks about that. I couldn't tell you whether or not when that would happen. We want to be able to do that for just the very reason you've mentioned that we can move them around, but there's fears about that. Well, we kind of don't want you to do that because we want you to buy another lockbox, and so. But we've also talked about simply being able to pack up a ship so that way, you don't have to discard a ship if you've reached your max slots, and so you can just kind of pack it up and put it in dry dock, what we call it. So maybe. I don't know. It's a little out of my hands whether or not we can do that. It's pretty engineering intensive kind of thing. So.
Yeah, it's just it would have been nice. It would be nice to be able to do so, especially now that the systems have changed so much since some of them have come out. I would have loved to be able to rethink who I gave what ship to.
I'm sorry you didn't get that message. We tried to make that pretty clear, but I mean there was a lot of information coming out with Delta Rising, a lot of new systems, a lot of info. So I'm sure a lot of info slipped through the cracks and wasn't really parsed very well, which is why we trickled it out slowly as opposed to everyone being angry. Why didn't we just tell everybody now what's going on? It says, well, because if we told you everything, we would just melt your brain and no one would retain anything. So we released it very slowly, intentionally. That's also just good marketing strategy to just keep people constantly interested. So who else from the Delta Quadrant would you like to see? Because when we started working on Delta Rising, the very first thing was like, who's the bad guy, right? Because the very first thing was like, it's Kazon. Where's Kazon? It says, it can't be Kazon. I said, yes, the Kazon were the whole, all of season 1. I get it. Maybe even season 2. I can't recall. But they're just can't be a galactic threat. They're just completely uninteresting. They're the biker gang of the, of Star Trek, and
I'm very, very pleased that you took that. That you understood that about them, because but if they had, they're kind of like you said, the biker gang, and not the least of which is they're fractional. They're factional. They're fractured and have factions, and they don't even deal with themselves.
They don't even like each other.
Exactly. Yeah. They're not very organized, that's for sure.
And so we're looking at them. It was like, Hirogen, and we've already had Hirogen, but they're still they're factional too, and they're not conquer the world kind of guys, right? And even Vidian, who we still want to bring into the game, they're not exactly conquer the world kind of guys. They're just trying to. They're doing something pretty reprehensible, but they're just trying to save their species. And so they're not so evil. They're just
the Kabbalah, you said?
No, the Vidians.
Oh, the Vidians, yeah.
The Vidians, right? And so I went through every episode of Voyager. Who's the bad guy here? Who's the bad guy here? Who's the bad guy here? Which one? And it just kept coming back, making sense for the Vaudoir, and the whole idea of coming back to saying what probably the biggest epic mistake. What is it something when you're going back here, you're trying to fix the things maybe that the ramifications of what happened to Voyager's presence in the Delta Quadrant says, well, that probably could have a pretty big ramification, because that was something they did, that they unleashed the dragon's teeth, right? And so that seemed to make the most sense. They created a dragon in Kes, and let's see what else. I mean, Caretaker was also something that was on the table, and then I had always wanted to bring in the Bluegills as well. Yeah. And so at one point we were going to follow maybe one of that book storyline where the Bluegills were related to the Trill. But I really liked the idea of just making these an Iconian biological weapon, and this is just part of the package. Part of the inspiration was actually Babylon 5, if you guys remember Babylon 5, right? And the whole idea is I keep thinking of the Iconians a lot like the Shadows, and the idea is, if you remember the guys with the bad hair who sided with the Shadows, the Centauri on Babylon 5. And Londo, and he gets this parasite on his neck that basically controls him. In this that the Shadows give everybody. And says, well, this is a very similar story, right? And that the Vaudoir are like the Centauri. They made a deal with the devil, right? And for power, and this is the price that they paid. They lost some of their soul. So the other one, if you remember too, though, do you remember the episode where Tuvok loses his marbles and just becomes a kind of like a child brain?
Oh yeah.
There's this episode where the shuttle is boarded by something and they don't know what it is, and it zaps Tuvok, and he goes like a child, and then Ethan Phillips, Neelix kind of helps him get his marbles back, and he's kind of friend-like. And eventually they fix him, and so. But when they figured out who it was that did it, there's this race, and I can't remember their names, but who live in the shadows, and they have this super cloaking technology, and they kind of got like an tachyon outline scan of what they look like, and it was this kind of Cthulhu-looking, squid-looking creature that was there.
That would be one of my choices. The other one, and I can although in Voyager they were a peaceful people, if you can call them that, but I can see them kind of becoming jealous, because especially after the Voyager encounter. But the deuterium species from that demon class planet,
the Silverbloods,
is that what they were?
Cloned that cloned the crew.
Yeah, they cloned everything and then went on. Yeah, I think that would make it
an interesting race of Terminators. Like,
okay, you said it.
I can see that.
But and a couple of them have. What was the one species that had like the two-class system where somebody who was of an upper class got better quality medical care than the class one?
Oh, the one
where they steal the doctor and they have the big medical
and
planet?
they had that, but they had that mining planet. Oh my God, that'd be nasty ass too.
The mining planet?
Weren't they like all miners? It was just like
the underground
society. It was just foul.
They
were. I felt.
They were producing
energy.
I know,
they're just not scary. It needs to be someone that's scary.
But I'm thinking that, that's also one that they made a huge change to a political structure of a planet.
Uh-huh.
What would have been the outside result of that?
Sure, yeah.
We haven't seen the Swarm.
We haven't seen the Swarm. We thought about doing the Swarm. They were definitely one of the candidates of critter groups that we wanted to bring in. Made it... What they do was going to be really too hard. First of all, just a whole bunch of little ships doesn't feel so good in combat. It's a little messy. We've done those before, and then they attach themselves to your ship and drain your power. And so I was trying to figure out how to make it fun.
What about the macrophages, the macroviruses?
The macroviruses are definitely something on my plate that I want to see get into the game. Is the macroviruses? I mean, we don't certainly need a story arc about them.
No.
About them taking over anything, but that's a great one-off to have them show up. Those are good. I think we'll see the Vidians. I think we'll see the Caretaker. I think we'll see the Krenim. I think we'll see the macrophages. I think we'll see
hostile holograms.
Yes, we could definitely see photonic life forms and hostile holograms. And
yes. What about the descendants of Paris and Janeway's lizard?
I can't begin to tell you how many times that kept coming up as a possibility.
God, just for the comedic value alone.
It's more of a redemption story. We've got to just fix that story. You got to find
a pseudo parasite where the doctor creates a Cardassian buddy.
To B'Elanna. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be kind of interesting for an episode. Although, again, a whole series, I don't know. Although they did kind of sort of beat up on Voyager there for a minute.
They weren't particularly evil, and we would have to, if we were to do them, we'd probably have to invest, because anytime there's something really weird like that, then we have to build a whole new animation rig, because it's not humanoid. So, which is fine. Yeah. It just means that, well, if we invest that much, then we have to invest a lot. It wouldn't be a good. Yeah. It wouldn't be a good option for a one-off, because it'd be too expensive to build. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to anything that you guys do. It'll be fun, and especially with what you were able to do with Delta Rising. I just love the storyline, love where it went, love where it's hanging.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel like...
What are you expecting next?
You know what? The beauty is just because of where you've left it, you could go almost anywhere, right? I mean, if you're going to stick moving forward into and deeper into the Delta Quadrant, you could also make up your own species. Again, not unlike what you've done with the Deferi. You could always do something like that.
I think there's still too much to explore within Voyager before inventing our own. We've got so much to explore. I think people really want to see that, and that's just going to resonate. Yeah. I mean, just your reaction of the bluegills and the Vaudoir is exactly a reaction that I don't think that we'll never be able to capture that kind of emotion by making our own
Maybe
bad
not.
guys.
Don't sell yourself short either.
We can make good story, but I think we could also still make good story with things, especially in Voyager, with stuff we maybe have only seen one episode of. I mean, Vaudoir, one episode of all time. I mean, you probably added up, they have maybe 20 minutes of screen time, right? So and so there's plenty of stuff that we could make up about a species and but still use an existing canon as background.
And I wouldn't mind exploring a little bit more about the cooperative.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I think that they have a great.
So I know. You said, Terry Lynn, one time in one of your podcasts that you couldn't see how that you would not like the idea of a Borg faction in the game.
I still don't like the idea.
I know you don't like things. Yeah, but what if it was cooperative? The cooperative. A liberated Borg faction. Yeah.
Yeah, a liberated Borg faction.
I would not do a Borg faction that was just play as a Borg, a mindless drone.
Yeah.
It
wouldn't have made
that would not
sense
work.
to me.
No,
but to be able to.
No, my goal has always been, if we were to make that, it would be a liberated Borg faction.
Then I'd be on board. And
then you could have the Doctor and Seven of Nine being your main contact while you're fighting your humanity, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's sad. A sad character again. But yeah, no, I could see that absolutely going through that. That would be very interesting and still independent too, not unlike the Romulan Republic.
Yeah, I think it would. I think if we were to introduce any faction, it would be like the Romulan Republic, because we're not going to split the factions again. It makes it too impossible to make stories and content going forward. They have to combine into two factions, and so Liberated Borg, I think, could do that, because you basically start off as a liberated Borg and then you rejoin your home. Right?
And that's what I mean. It would be that would be even more interesting too, because what I would want to see, like I just said, was to be able to explore the cooperative. If you could do it through a faction, all the better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, hypothetically, if you were going to do a Borg faction, would they all be humanoid looking, or would the character creator provide a vast range?
I think
if
we did a liberated Borg faction, and I want to make it clear that we're nowhere near doing anything like that.
I was going to say, this is fantasy talk here, folks.
Yes. I would probably just let you play any existing species that exists in the game. Yeah, so you could play a Romulan, you could play a Nausicaan, you could play you could play human or Vulcan or whatever. Any one of the existing species. Then maybe we'll throw in a few extra, maybe some Delta Quadrant species or something like that, and just play those, but just with Borg bits on you. And then you eventually you basically would pick a faction from the beginning,
right?
And then that's just where you came from, and so your journey is to get home, right?
I like it.
I have one more character creator type question.
Yeah.
Suliban. Any chance we may see one, or at least the pieces for Suliban entering the character creator?
Character creator, I don't know, but I do think we're going to see more of the Suliban.
Cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes me happy. That's good too.
Yeah, Suliban, I mean, we've only seen them very, very small, and it seems like they've been around forever. So it just seems like they're just screaming to make a bigger appearance and stuff.
Yeah, I think that
Xindi, we can do anything with Xindi. Anything from Enterprise I'd be happy with, because that's my second favorite show.
Is it really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Loved Enterprise. I don't know why, because maybe it's because it is the complete antithesis of TNG, where I love TNG, but I love that kind of the other side of the coin to me is Enterprise. So I love them.
Yeah,
both.
I can't stomach most of the first 2 seasons, but the third and fourth season is very good.
Yeah.
I have to say I don't
That's where it
hate the
gets
first 2, but I absolutely adore the last 2. So
yeah, third season is fantastic. I just love. I mean, just a 1-year arc was fantastic.
Really,
still not my favorite series though. DS9 first and probably Voyager second is for me. So.
The beauty of Star Trek. Well, we do need to tie things up, but as always, a great 2-hour conversation with the wonderful lead designer at Star Trek Online, Al Gecko. Do you have anything you want to let us know before we let you go? Because we did this to you once before.
Cancer.
Yeah. So I will say that, as I mentioned before, we have most of 2015 planned, and you can expect lots of regular story content episodes coming. So you should be seeing plenty of that. You know, we've left a few things. You know, what's going on. You know, what happens with Sela, for instance, right? Mm-hmm. You know, you've rescued her, and what does she bring to the table? I mean, that was really just she was just a tiny cameo there. So we want to wrap that up. We've got, you know, there's still more of the Delta Quadrant, and there's still the Iconians to deal with. So we've got a lot of story to come, and we're building up planning for 2016, really, for our the 50th anniversary in the next movie, right? So we have a tight plan all the way up through then. So everyone should be looking forward to lots of good stuff, more celebrities, and
that's such great news, because I remember how rough it was at the very beginning, and to know that you guys are making headway in that regard and making it an entertaining, not that it wasn't, but to make it even more entertaining, to have the involvement of the people who are affiliated, the actors that are affiliated with Star Trek, has just been so much fun. And I know that I've appreciated it. I love where the storyline has gone, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can get from answer some of those questions that were left hanging at the end of Delta Rising.
Yep, cool. That's what we're. We hope that we won't disappoint. Hopefully,
I think you'll be fine. Well, again, thanks for joining us, Al, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you after the next quarter.
Whenever you guys want to invite me on, I'll come on.
Awesome.
I'd love to just come on and just talk about Just talk about story, just talk about Star Trek, just talk about whatever. I'd love to talk to you about how angry I am about alphas. And
he still holds a grudge, folks. I gotta love it.
Well, I just finished it this weekend.
No!
Yeah,
I knew
you understand Nick's.
I knew it got canceled, but and I knew I was headed for a letdown. Yeah. For a letdown, but I just really really enjoyed that show more and more, and I loved Gary. Was like an absolute amazing character.
Really great character.
So great portrayal.
You understand Nick's pain now. You understand Nick's pain now.
I bought their product. I watched their commercials or whatever. I deserve an ending, right? You have to. You can cancel a show. That's fine. You got to give me an ending.
Yeah.
You can't. That's just.
We're with you. We really are.
So we can talk about I love to come back. I'll talk about that. Talk about Arrow and Flash and Gotham and.
Speaking of which, I know it's an ending, but everybody don't forget that Chase Masterson on Flash next week. So we got to support our girl.
Yeah. Everybody watch Chase. She looks great. I saw the screenshot. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to invite you back in a few weeks then to just talk comics.
Talk comics. Talk more Miss Marvel. Talk all that stuff. I love all that stuff.
Oh, great.
Right on.
Well, everybody, thanks for joining us. Mike, do you want to take us out?
Well, this has been another GNT Show Supplemental Log. We want to thank Al Gecko Rivera for taking the time to sit down with us, talking about Star Trek Online and all of the wonderful things of where it's been, where we're at, and where we're going. So thank you very much, sir, and
you're very welcome, Jolan True.
Live long and prosper, everybody.
This has been a Busy Little Beaver production. Music for the GNT show is provided by Warp 11, Andrew Allen, Grethor, and 5 Year Mission.